I call to order the meeting of the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District Board of Managers, January 27, 2022. We are meeting electronically using Zoom this evening because of the pandemic, the declaration of pandemic, and the fact that I have determined that it is not prudent or feasible for us to meet or invite the public to meet in our usual place of business. We are complying with Minnesota statute section 13D.021, subdivision 1, and all other applicable portions of the open meeting law. And all votes will be taken by roll call. I will begin by taking roll call for attendance. Manager Hijmati.
Aye.
Manager Loftus.
Here.
Manager Maxwell. Manager Miller. Manager Olson.
Here.
Oh, Manager Miller. Could you unmute and vote?
Here.
There? Thank you. And Manager Olson, you said here.
Here, yep.
Manager Sando.
Here.
And Manager White is here. Thank you all. Under matters from the floor this evening, we are going to be welcoming Mr. Joe Schneider and Mr. Gabriel Jabbour, who have some information to present to us. So go ahead.
Madam Chair, Gabriel Jabbour, 985 Tonkawa Road, Ono, Minnesota. I sent to James a copy of a letter I forwarded to the LMCD, I think, and I hope you have a copy of it that entail some minor detail to what we're up to. I could tell you though that first, we're not here asking you for any action. So as you probably know, we're always up to something. This and it's usually a good thing, and at least I hope you think so. We've been going around and about on a variety of issues has to do with water, and we've been somehow not teaming up with all the entities who really have interest in the water, particularly on recreational kind of use of the water. Well, just like the solar eclipse, it occurs now and then. We all lined up in a line, people on both sides, and agreed and developed a joint vision that we do care about the well-being of the resources in Minnesota. They are the fields that our herd get their nutrient, and the place where most of us makes our money on. That's from one point of view, and other people think, and I think we unanimously think that should be preserved and treasured and passed on better than we found it to the generation to be. So we teamed up together trying to do an operator permit, a mandated operator permit, and I've been kind of working on this for years, and other entities too. But people on both sides of the issue, what to do, wakeboards, no wakeboards, speed limit, whatever, decided on one issue that we all agree on, that we need to get an operator permit in the state. And we decided that we're gonna work together to make that happen. And collectively, we agreed that our goal should be safety and preservation of the resource. And that's where you guys fit in somehow. And as a custodian of enormous amount of bodies of water in our area, we thought that you should be aware with our endeavor. And equally as important, you should be aware that we have agreed that the curriculum and the test should include issues about AIS, issue about, a variety of vegetation in the lake, and have the average person understand and try to appreciate the resource. As you know, there are many of acres naturally being pulled out of the use by blue algae and the quality of water deteriorating. So we know that we have to do something about that. And we thought we should at least let you know that. And if you trying to implement some of your legislative agenda and you rub shoulder or pass by or talk to somebody and give it some favorable endorsement, that would be extremely appreciated. We shortly, meaning in the coming week, will send you a little summary. We kind of got the carriage before the horse because of the DNR commissioner had a meeting on the 20th, and we wanted to have this in front of her, although we have talked to the DNR substantially about how to go about it, and they're on board verbally. Well, you know, we need to see, you know, how that will come through. There are enormous amount of stakeholder in this issue. We need to answer all kinds of questions and work with all kinds of people, from people who are visiting the state, to people who own resorts, to the grandpa, which I am on, who wants to continue taking his grandchild fishing. And we have quite a bit of ideas how to go forward. And I will stop talking and maybe ask my partner, Joe Schneider, if I missed something. Or
Joe, for one, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask, to state your address also, your name and address.
Yes, absolutely. Madam President and members of the board, I'm Joe Schneider. I live at 21125 Christmas Lane in Shorewood. And we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you tonight. Among other roles that I have, I am also the president of the Minnesota Coalition of Lake Associations, and that is the statewide organization, coalitions of lake associations, coalitions of river associations, as well as lake associations and river associations. So we are really excited about this watercraft operator's license with the appropriate amount of education component is really something that we believe is a key step in making the lakes and rivers safer for all users of the water, and will lead to better protection of the water from environmental damages that people unknowingly produce. I'd be kicking myself if I didn't say that getting these 5 or 6 groups together on an important step is not easy. And Mr. Jabor played the middleman there, and we really appreciate that, because we believe that working together, going to the legislators together, saying that the industry and the lake associations and everybody associated with our organizations think that this is the right thing to do, we think that'll go a long way towards getting it implemented. And as Gabe said, we really hope that the watershed district will take any opportunity that you have to support these efforts.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may add, if there's any question or anything we can do for you in now or in the future, we're your neighbors, we're as close as the phone, maybe sometime we're too close.
I can depart from our usual procedure of not having comments if people want to ask questions or make statements to Mr. Jabor, Mr. Schneider. And by people, I mean managers, of course. Manager Olson.
Thank you. There's something else that we have done over the years, and that we've taken this request to MAUD at our annual meeting and brought it up as a in the form of a resolution. And it might be a good time to bring it back using the additional information about AIS, inclusive of the operator training agenda, because that would be a statewide initiative that goes to the state legislature. And I know you're on the board of directors of that, Sherry, so that we might be able to put something together in that regard.
It would need to come from a watershed district, a member of MOD. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bill. Any other comments or questions? Well, thanks very much, both of you, for coming in this evening. I really appreciate the information. And we did receive the letter that you sent. James did circulate it to us. So we have that for reference. Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Are there other members of the public who wish to address the board? The next item of business then is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Manager Miller moves. Is there a second?
Second, Olson.
Manager Olson seconds. Roll call vote to approve the agenda. Manager Sando,
Yes.
Manager Olson,
Aye.
Manager Miller,
Aye.
Manager Maxwell,
Aye.
Manager Loftus,
Aye.
Manager Hijmati,
Aye.
and Manager White also votes aye. The agenda is approved. On the consent agenda this evening, we have approval of the minutes of the January 13th board meeting and approval of the check registers for general checking account, surety checking account, and wire transfers. No resolutions this evening. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I heard an echo. I'll take a motion from Manager Maxwell. Is there a second?
Hennepin.
Second from Manager Hijmati.
Second.
Certainly. Anyone in, let's see, in favor of the adopting the consent agenda, Manager Hijmati,
Aye.
Manager Olson,
Aye.
Manager Miller,
Aye.
Manager Maxwell,
Aye.
Manager Loftus,
Aye.
Manager Sando,
Aye.
and Manager White votes aye. I have just a couple of quick items in terms of the president's report. One is that the county commissioner meetings are ongoing. We'll be finished up by the middle of next week with the Hennepin County Commission meetings. I attended the CAC onboarding first session where we talked about getting a good picture of the district and balanced urban ecology and a sample of some projects. There will be an additional meeting, and as we discussed previously, a chance for all the board and all the CAC to have a little bit of meet and greet time as well. I know that Manager Sando and Maxwell also attended along, and I did, the 325 Lake Road Community Outreach meeting on Monday. My impression is that people had really read things and understood and asked really intelligent questions, and I thought that it went really well. Would you like to?
Maxwell agrees. I think it was a good meeting. They came up with some good, once you showed all the diagrams and everything else, everybody came back with some good responses, I think, and how they picked it out. I didn't really, because there were so many things. How many people really? I'd never seen it. How many people really attended? Did you? Do you know how? I don't.
Well, the survey, the
Was
Manitoba
15.
survey had as many as 16. So,
But we don't know. We don't know the exact total. Then that's what I was kind of.
Mr. Heyman, you are there.
Chair White, Manager Maxwell, we had 29 registered to attend. I know at one point I do believe there were somewhere around 20, but I believe only 15 or 16 were using the real-time survey as it was being presented in Menti that evening.
That's what I was just kind of wondering. Some people were there just to basically listen and to observe and to. That's what I was kind of get a feel for what. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Manager Maxwell and Chair White, just so the board knows that I assume this is probably in James's administrator report as well, but all of the survey, Menti, and information is available on our website too. We know that in those instances, those public settings, sometimes people can't get logged on to both platforms at the same time, and so we try to keep that available after the fact, and it will be up on our website for a period of time, including translated presentation and audio in Somali. So.
Well, it was very well run. I think I really appreciate it. Manager Miller, could we get a report from the Policy and Planning Committee meeting?
Yeah, we met in the first of a series of focal geographies, 6 Mile Creek, to discuss our capital improvement program and our to build a shared understanding between the board and staff on the organizational philosophy and approaching the project planning, as well as facilitate a more in-depth discussion of project opportunities in the focal area. And we've had a new format that laid out very graphically and comprehensively the proposed CIP in the various elements of it and the various processes on planning other elements to lead to a final project and cost analysis and all the other elements that will be necessary to fulfill the CIP over a 5-year plan. It was really an outstanding piece of work, and I think everybody got a lot out of it.
Thank you. Citizens Advisory Committee meeting was attended by Manager Maxwell. Manager Maxwell.
Give you a quick update. I apologize because I left my notes kind of at home, so because I don't remember the president and vice president's last names, but John was the president, and then Peter was a vice president, and Dan and Richard were on the executive committee. Mr. Whisker gave us an update on just the whole water, some different, just an update, administration update, kind of basically. Then we had the whole the Nokomis Lake talk about, and they did a really good job. The Citizen Advisory Board did a good job just of asking some questions and and just bringing up some things, how to keep people involved in because it's quite a lengthy presentation with a lot of different agencies going to be there, and how to try to get everybody involved and stay in tune to really what we're trying to present to them.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it.
Great, thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's fine.
Manager Loftus, the Metro Mod meeting was last week. Can you report?
I apologize. I can't report on that. I had to travel to Tucson for my father-in-law who was in hospice and passed. So I apologize. I don't have a report on that. I don't know if anyone else was able to attend.
Please accept my condolences. Manager Olson.
Yeah, I believe Steve Sando covered for Jessica Loftus. And I do have some comments as well. So if Steve would like to go first, that's fine.
Oh, go ahead, Bill. Thank you.
Okay. There was a review from each one of the representatives who normally present at the meeting, but the most comprehensive and the most eye-opening one was from the Minnesota Department of Health, where they talked about stormwater and rainwater reuse and the vast differences, whether it's captured on a flat roof versus in a stormwater pond. And the idea is taking on global significance with droughts in terms of water reuse. The concerns that they have is that in almost all of the reuse efforts that are being tested in the state right now, they have found as many as 6. There's very many pathogens that can be airborne, but there is 6 of them that are absolutely deadly. So if your children are running around a sprinkler that a park is using to water a large area using NERP pond contents, it can be an issue. And so pet health and human health is a concern that they have. And they went through a very comprehensive presentation on that. So although I have attended projects, for example, in Waconia, where they're doing city grass areas along the roadways with that kind of water where children don't play, which is a good thing. It is also something that you have to keep in mind, that water many times has to be treated prior to its use if it's going to be exposed. So they've got lots of recommendations before they adopt some sort of a statewide policy. So that was the key presentation of the evening, and it was very well done. And the rest of it was detailed Bowser funding issues that everybody's been arguing about for the last 2 years.
Thank you, Manager Olson. Manager Sando, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just to add that how important going forward it is to reuse this water, not just have it go down the drains and into the river, but to recycle it on the area where it's left. So it was a very, very good program.
Thank you. I actually watched a piece of the Clean Water Council meeting this week where they were talking about manganese, and there is no EPA standard for it. So the Minnesota Department of Health has guidance, but they're completing a study or a restudy of 200 lakes in cities in Minnesota and their municipal water. It'll be, I'm going to pay attention to that because I know at least one of our cities is contaminated for manganese in their drinking water. Are there any other meetings or events that managers would like to mention? All right, then we'll move on just to note that the upcoming meeting and event schedule is in the agenda. We have committees and board meetings on the 10th and 24th of February, and those will all be virtual. The next item of business is 11.1, Resolution 22005, Ms. Schaufler.
Bear with us just one moment, President White. I just got a message from Tiffany that she's had some internet troubles, and I see she dropped the meeting and just jumped back in.
All right.
Hey, there she is.
Just for that very reason. Ouch. All right. So I'm assuming we're on 11.1.
We are.
Perfect. All right. Let me share my screen here. All right. You can see and hear me?
We can.
I can see my screen. Perfect. President White, Board of Managers, tonight staff is seeking authorization to release the request for proposals for engineering and design services for the Minnehaha Creek Preserve Boardwalk reconstruction. As discussed, how to proceed with replacement of the boardwalk structure due to its accelerated deterioration. The board's consensus was to draft a request for proposals to design and oversee reconstruction of the boardwalk. My presentation tonight will provide an overview of the request for proposals, and if the board has questions on any of the aspect of the request for proposals, I'm happy to take those during the presentation. However, if the board has questions regarding the present litigation, those can be addressed in closed session after this presentation. On the boardwalk structure. The boardwalk was constructed as part of the Minnehaha Preserve project between 2014 and 2015. The boardwalk, which is shown here in purple, connects users to 29 acres of green space and provides access to Minnehaha Creek. After the boardwalk was constructed, the watershed district became responsible for maintenance of the boardwalk system. After signs of deterioration were found, the Board of Managers adopted an interim inspection and maintenance protocol to protect public safety. Throughout 2021, at the November 18th, 2021 public board meeting, the board adopted a seasonal closure of the boardwalk due to the enhanced safety risk posed by ice and snow accumulating on top of wood patching. And here's a picture of the current closures that were implemented after that November 18th board meeting. Additionally, at the November 18th board meeting, the board also directed staff to develop a request for proposals for professional services to reconstruct the boardwalk using the existing helical piers. The board also directed staff through the selection of the RFP to use materials and treatment appropriate for the wetland environment in which the boardwalk is constructed. Looking at this map, all the areas shown in purple, including two 24-foot long sections of boardwalk shown here with the red arrows, will be reconstructed as part of this project. Next, I'm going to walk you through the request for proposals details. The request for proposals was drafted in coordination with legal counsel, and the reconstruct. So design and re-specification. We want to make sure we're selecting materials and treatments that are appropriate for the wetland environment that the boardwalk will be constructed in. And we also want the consultant to do a comprehensive review of the original structure to understand the current experience that the existing alignment of the boardwalk creates. And lastly, under the design and re-specification, we want to make sure that the consultant does an analysis of the current load-bearing capacity of the structure based on the existing helical piers. After they come up with the design, the consultant will then and lastly, they'll do construction oversight of the existing removal of the existing wind material and oversee reconstruction of the boardwalk. I want to note that an important part of selecting a consultant will be to ensure that they have experience and judgment to identify proper specifications. Additional language has been suggested by legal counsel to emphasize the importance of this, and the final request for proposals will have more detailed language on the qualifications of the consultant to prepare proper specifications. RFP, so within the project design, we'll do some pre-design work, which will include reviewing a deep dive into all the technical information that the watershed has available. 75% designs will be presented to the board, and then the board will approve 100% designs. A maintenance plan will also be developed as part of the 100% plans. And the removal plan will ensure existing signage, steel railings, and educational elements will be salvaged and reinstalled. And the design may also, the removal plan may also consider potential reuse of existing materials, as long as the consultant finds the integrity of the design is maintained. After the design is done, the consultant will help with the development of bid documents and specifications, as well as support during the bidding process. And lastly, we'll oversee construction of the removal and of the reconstruction, and the consultant will provide the lead on the oversight and management with support from the district staff. Next, I'm going to walk through the budget. So the estimated design engineer $125,000. The total project cost to design, do the removals, do the construction, and oversee construction oversight is estimated to be between $2.3 and $2.8 million. So I'm going to end with the proposed timeline. We're proposing to release the RFP this coming Monday, assuming the board authorizes the district administrator to do so. And then a month from now, the proposal will be due. And then at the March 24th board meeting, correct. And then ideally by the end of May, we'd be at 75% design, end of June at 100% design, and then able to bid between July and August. And with that, I can take any questions. And again, the board is requested to give the district administrator authorization to release the request for proposals for the Minnehaha Creek Preserve Boardwalk reconstruction with any further limited changes at his discretion and on the advice of MCWD legal counsel. And with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Schaffler. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 22005?
So move, Sando.
Manager Sando, is there a second?
Second, Olson.
Manager Olson, are there any questions for Ms. Schaffler?
I have two questions. Maybe this is when I have a private viewing. Is how are we situated now on the lawsuit?
We'll take care of that in closed session, Manager Sando.
Thank you. And
so
then
questions right now, it's simply about the RFP.
Okay.
President White, one quick
Manager
question.
Loftus? Yes.
Our municipal partner, St. Louis Park, is referenced in the RFP. Just curious if they have received a copy of this or had communication about the project in general.
President White, Manager Loftus, we have communicated to them. We were in communication when we closed it this past November, December, and then let them know that we were moving ahead with preparing an RFP for reconstruction. And we're planning to let them be in touch with them after we do release it next week.
Great, thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Schaufler?
Manager Hejmadi.
Manager Hejmadi?
Yes, it's a clarification more than anything else. When I read the and maybe I misread it, in the text, I heard, I thought I'd read that HR Green and the other company were going to be doing the design, and then in the RFP it says we will be bidding for design. So did I miss something? Can you help me out here? Did I misunderstand something? So is HR Green and the other company going to be involved, or is it just going to go out for bid?
No. Yeah, President White, Manager Hejmadi, the request for proposals is to seek proposals from engineering and designs firms. So no one has been selected as part of this process. This is simply to initiate the process and send it out to consultants.
Right. Okay, that's all. Then I must have misread it. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have, Maxwell, I have one question. Yes. I realize we've got a lot of questions for this, for whoever's going to get the job, but is 28 days enough really to go out and get qualified bidders? Do we have to make, because there's a lot of work there that they're going to put into. I want to make sure that we got enough qualified builders to do this, or engineers to go out and look at it.
Yeah, President White, Manager Maxwell, just to clarify, this is to request for proposals to design and re-specify. So we're simply giving folks to do that. And then from there, we'll review all the proposals and make a selection and bring that back to the board. Is that the question you're asking, or are you about actually bidding it in
No, I was
August?
just going to ask, if that was enough time to give the whoever wants to bid on it enough time to really, because there's a lot of we asked for quite a few different little things in there, to reuse some stuff and come back. I just want to make sure if we're going to do it, let's do it right, and if we have enough time. And you probably know more than I do if there's enough time. 28 days isn't a lot of days.
Yeah, Manager Maxwell, we did run the RFP by engineer, and they thought that was a reasonable amount of time. And we also looked at our past examples of issuing RFPs and use that information to inform the schedule.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Ms. Schaubler, there was a little bit of a drop off there in the audio. Did you say that you consulted with the district engineer, or? Okay, I think we just missed that one little word there, then, the district. Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Schaufler?
Manager Hejmadi.
Manager Hejmadi.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay, great. Then we will proceed to voting on Resolution 22005. Manager Miller.
Aye.
Manager Olson.
Aye.
Manager Sando.
Aye.
Manager Loftus.
Aye.
Manager Hejmadi.
Aye.
Manager Maxwell.
Aye.
And Manager White votes aye. The resolution is adopted. Thank you very much, Ms. Schaufler.
I don't know if I have to indicate a conflict of interest here. I use the boardwalk for smoking cigars on a regular basis, and it's my favorite place to go. So
Well,
I don't know if that constitutes a conflict or not.
Do you receive any remuneration when you're smoking cigars out there?
Are you
better
still
say
using
no.
it now?
I just think you have to stop smoking.
Oh, okay.
I want to know if he's breaking rules by using it now, if it's boarded off.
No, I don't go there now.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm glad we can have some levity around this. The next item we have is 12.1, which is a discussion item concerning the Minnehaha Preserve Boardwalk. Mr. Heyman and Ms. Schaufler.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair and managers. We are before you this evening for an update on the Minnehaha Preserve Boardwalk. Due to confidential nature of the discussion, the board may convene in closed session, and as such, and as we always do, we will turn to our legal counsel, Mr. Smith, to help guide the board through that process.
Mr. Smith.
Madam President, we would recommend that the Board of Managers receive confidential legal advice about litigation strategy and an update in the litigation from Mr. Radio, and recommend a motion to go into closed session for that purpose.
Thank you. Would someone make that motion?
Move, so moved.
Manager Miller, is there a second?
Hishmati, second.
Manager Hishmati. Then voting on going into closed session. Manager Maxwell,
Aye.
Manager Hishmati,
Aye.
Manager Loftus,
Aye.
Manager Sando,
Aye.
Manager Olson.
Aye.
Manager Miller,
Aye.
and Manager White votes aye. We are now in closed